this week's Teaching Tuesday. Every Tuesday around the lunch hour, I try to upload these short 10 to 15 minute videos that will give you something to chew on or think about as you go about your day and throughout the rest of your week. We're trying a few things different this afternoon. Number one, you'll notice the location is different. I'm speaking with you here out of our church's kitchen. We'll get to that reason in a moment. We also are broadcasting live to our church's YouTube page. We're testing a few things out, thinking that this is probably the direction we'll be going with in the future to help alleviate some of the technical difficulties we've been experiencing with Facebook, and also to give people a broader chance or range to watch the services who might not have a YouTube account or a Facebook account. Well, anyways, today I want to talk to you about three things from three of my friends, or conversations I've had or gleaned from them this morning, in fact. I want to talk to you about spoons, about space, and about grace. Spoons, space, and grace. The first one is from my friend Allison Yankee. Allison posted a really an interesting picture and then some conversation about it. I think it was this morning. She talked about a thing that's new to me called spoon theory. Spoon theory. Perhaps you have heard of it, but if it's your first time, you can actually Google it, and there will be different images you can find online that will describe what spoon theory is. In essence, the thought is that you have 15 spoons a day that you can decide how you will use them. Now, depending on which graphic you go with, they give some examples about what will cost you one of your spoons throughout your day. Spoons of energy that you have, that you can give to your day or that which you're trying to do. Number one, just getting out of bed, you'll spend a spoon. Getting that energy to get up and to get out of your bed and move on with your day, that's going to cost you a spoon. Even getting dressed will cost you 1 spoon. But I love the way this particular graphic describes it. If you shower, that's going to cost you 2 more. So that takes more energy and more work than just getting out of bed or getting dressed. But just out of the gate, between getting out of bed, getting dressed, and if you take a shower, that's 4 of your 15 spoons spent really before you start getting much of your day going. There are other examples like visiting your doctor, walking your dog, socializing that will cost you 3 spoons. And then the 4 spoon items are grocery shopping, taking your kids to school or picking them up, going to work. This graphic does not talk about the ways that spoons are spent differently during this pandemic time. Giving you example, last week our kids started e-learning from home, and I'll tell you, it cost us a lot more than 4 spoons. That first day in particular, we probably used up about 10 of our spoons by 9:30 in the morning. How is it with you? Allison goes on to talk about this spoon theory and the ways it's affecting her life. She's saying that our brains right now are just trying to adjust. Even though we're 5-6 months into this awkward and seemingly never-ending new reality, we're just doing the best we can to adjust. And then to compound the challenge, what we're trying to do continually adjusts and changes. The target is constantly moving, whether it's school or work or church or personal relationships. The targets are always ebbing and flowing. Every interaction, she wrote, requires extra attention and extra thought, and quite frankly, it's exhausting. I'm exhausted, she writes. Are you? Leads me to my other friend, Matthew Stoltz. Matthew is a fellow clergy person, and so is Allison in our Indiana conference. And recently, Matthew shared on his Facebook page that he needed to create more space in his life. So spoons, and now the need to create space. Matthew had been doing a lot of work in his own career as a pastor, caring and being alongside people who were hurting and in need. He'd been attending a bunch of meetings, many of which were probably virtual, as is the case for most of my meetings. And then he was just physically exhausted from doing something fun. He is an avid barbecuer. And he was just physically exhausted from getting up early and preparing this amazing meal that he does for competitions and for friends, family, loved ones. He was saying after doing all of this work, he needed to take a nap. So he did. And he read a novel, he spent some time in prayer, and he finished a project that had been bothering him, and a project that he had promised for his daughter but hadn't finished yet. He said that taking that time and doing the work of prayer, finishing up some projects, were ways to help keep depression at bay. Just taking a little time so that things did not get too overwhelming for him. You and I talked about something similar a few weeks ago when I challenged you to take a dog day, D-A-W-G, day alone with God. If you can do a full day, great, or at least spend a chunk of sequential hours, half a day, 4 hours, to do that which restores your soul, to take a nap, to rest, to play, and to spend time with God. Check out that video in our Facebook page or our YouTube page to learn more. But it's important to take to set aside space in our lives to recharge and to tend to our own lives. Which leads me to a story in the Bible. God's prophet Elijah had been challenging the prophets of Baal. And maybe you remember the story of how they had called down lightning from heaven to strike their respective altars. And the prophets of Baal did all of these incantations and words to try and get their God to respond. He didn't. And so God's prophet Elijah says to drench his altar with water, make it soaking wet, to make God's miracle even more profound. And sure enough, when Elijah called upon God, fire from heaven came down and burned the whole thing up. He upstaged the prophets of Baal, and the evil Queen Jezebel was not happy about it. She flew into a wild rage and ordered Elijah's execution. The story after that famous one talks about the ways that Elijah fled for his life into the wilderness and how he sunk into a deep depression. The Bible talks a lot, and we hear many voices who are speaking from the depths of despair. People who are profoundly disoriented. And in this story, Elijah was one such person. He fell exhausted into a deep sleep until he was awakened by an angel sent from God. The angel cared for Elijah, feeding him and letting him rest and eat to renew his strength. Because before Elijah went on to do the next task to which God was calling him. God knew Elijah just needed a nap and a snack. God knew Elijah just needed a nap and a snack. And so too do you and me. We spend our spoons on so many just basic things that we're wearing ourselves thin trying to do so much. We need to create space to renew ourselves, to spend time with God. And then here's the third and final thing. This one coming from our own Beth Ann Smolinski here at the church. Beth Ann leads our children's and youth ministries, and she and I were talking this morning about a lesson that she learned from her class last week as she is taking seminary classes this fall. Beth Ann says that she wants to start moving at the pace of grace. I don't want to race, she said. I want to start going at the pace of grace. And so that's today's Teaching Tuesday. To eat a snack, to take a nap, and to think more about the spoons in our lives. Each of us only gets 15 a day. The good news is that we get more tomorrow, but today we only get 15. How we spend our spoons matters. And so, friends, as you are going about the rest of your day and into this week, may you start prioritizing where and how you spend your spoons of energy. May you spend them on the things that really matter. Your relationship with God, your relationship with your spouse or your family members, your loved ones. And may you spend several spoons on yourself. Work and other to-dos and get-dones will get accomplished eventually, or they might not. And that's okay, because we are challenged and being called to give ourselves greater permission to stop the race and to start going at the pace of God's grace. May that be your gift to yourself this day and the days to come. Peace be with you. Until next Sunday, I'm Pastor Jared. God bless.